We talked in the end of the last video about a state of consciousness that Patanjali mentions. In Sutra 16, it's about having the experience of higher consciousness that then changes how you see the world. It brings with it a sense of happiness and bliss. And then you're in the world with, you keep some of that blissful state. You've seen what's beyond, you realize there is a beyond. And with that knowledge and that experience, you're okay to be in this world, even if it's not the best situation, if there's work to do, if there's some degree of suffering, you're still here in a happy state. Happiness, bliss, ecstasy, orgasmic states, these are all the levels and degrees of happiness that we can get to. And in the following sutras, Patanjali is describing these different states, which cannot really be described in words. This first one can, because as I say, it's about being happy, but you're still in this world. You're still thinking this world. In Sutra 17, he's calling this the first stage of samadhi, when you're still very much here. You're not leaving your body. You've had an experience beyond the body, but as you bring that back, it brings the happiness back to the thoughts you have are happy thoughts. The emotions you feel are in a good space that support the happiness. You're still thinking, contemplating, you're still doing things in this world, but you're doing it from a different perspective of not suffering. Work doesn't seem like work. You're enjoying what you're doing. And with all of the practices of yoga that get you to this place, your body is enjoyable. Your feelings and sensations of moving and doing things, whether you're working in the garden, walking, or washing dishes, or whatever, you have this sense of enjoyment applied to everything you're doing. So this is the first level of samadhi. It's not so far beyond. It's simply establishing a happy state in this world. Then in Sutta, in 17, he's describing this as you're still in the mind, and you're still with the modifications of the mind. The mind is still active. That's what I'm saying. You're still thinking, but your thoughts are in a positive place. Everything is feeling and looking quite good. So this is a valid state of living. It's a way of living within the yogic lifestyle. You're still working and doing what you need. Then when you get to 18, Sutra 18, he's talking about at this stage, if you accomplish stopping the thought process, then you get into a state of samadhi that is a little bit beyond the normal, a little bit beyond worldly existence and what you're doing here in the world. It's more bliss, more towards the orgasmic state that takes over, and you don't feel like functioning in the world anymore. You're just happy being in this state. So this is the next level of samadhi. So it's called asamprajnata samadhi because there's no thing there to be happy about, but the happiness is there. And that is what your consciousness is, dwelling in this happiness without any object to be happy about. So all of these levels are taking us into a happier existence, a better way of being, and they're all based on having practiced the yoga. He mentions then in Sutra 19 about those who merely have, let's say, a vision of going to heaven or having visions of the divine, contacting the angels. The heavenly states are still within the mind. It's the higher mind, and it's a place where you can imagine and create everything you wish and have it all. But this is another temporary state from the yogic perspective and from the Buddhist perspective. You're still involved with something, and because you're creating or semi-creating the heavenly state, you're involved with something to be happy about. Okay, so there's a difference between the state of happiness and ecstasy by itself. Your consciousness is in that state, and then that state can be applied to this world, that state can be applied to the world of the devas, the heavenly realms, etc. You maintain that state of blissful feeling with different things to be blissful about. So there's another aspect of, or level of samadhi. All these samadhi means the meditative state. And some people have translated samadhi as contemplation. Well, it's not, but some of the states where you're still thinking, the first level I mentioned, can be contemplative, but it's not the state. The state of samadhi is the consciousness in the bliss, and then the bliss can be added to different levels, being in this world, being in the more divine realms of the angels, archangels, or the devas in Hinduism. And then we come back into this state that is simply bliss. If you're having these states with the devas, with the angels and archangels, he's pointing out, at this point you're having an experience that's very beautiful, heavenly and divine, but then you have to come back to the world. So you reincarnate from these stages. Then he goes into Sutra 20, and he mentions to others who have maybe already spent time in these higher states, then you come into a state of being that is beyond, and you're happy with this beyond, living in the bliss. It's like an ocean of electromagnetic, blissful energy. Think of it as an ocean, a warm tropical ocean where you're floating and the ocean is supporting you, nurturing you, and you're really happy to be there. And the happiness reaches levels of ecstasy, blissfulness, and as I say, it's quite orgasmic. As much as the orgasmic state is the goal of many people living in this world, just to have that. We do everything, we get married, we have kids, we do 20 years of raising children because we wanted to have the orgasmic state. Now if you can have this state through meditative practices, then you're happy. And this state can be achieved if you have the practice of yoga, you believe in the yoga, you understand the bigger picture. So you kind of need to have some experiences in these higher states to realize this is home base. This is our inner nature. It is where we come from and where we go back to. It's a place of loving, beautiful bliss, totally nurtured, eternal, infinite. And when you realize that, you're happy to be there, and your desires to come back have been eliminated already. And he speaks of that as we go into these states, these higher states, kind of delete your desires for things that are less fulfilling, that are temporary in this world. The pleasures of having good food, it tastes great, but afterwards you're left with a full stomach and the karma of whatever you've eaten, if it wasn't so good for you. So all of these things he's describing in these sutras. And then he says in 21, to the practitioner of yoga who's keen, totally into it, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to do, with this intention and no other distractions, you can achieve the goals much faster. Of course, if you're doing something part-time, it takes a long time to accomplish a goal. But samadhi, the higher state of consciousness, can come fairly quickly if you're totally dedicated, and keen is one of the translations, this is exactly what I want to do. I'm really into it. Then in 22, he mentions that the time required for success depends on whether you're doing it full time with full concentration, or whether it's, again, you're doing it but there's these other things that you have to stop and do. You have to fulfill this, you still have to go to work. And again, if you go to the ashram in India, you withdraw from the world and you're in the present with nothing else on your mind. With that kind of dedication, you can succeed with getting to these levels of samadhi faster. For many people in the modern day world, yoga is a little bit more part-time. We do some, we stop, we go and do a retreat, we do some studying, but we're pulled back in to do the things we need to do in the material world. So this delays the success as far as getting to the end result of a higher state of consciousness beyond living in this world, in the eternal world that we sometimes don't even know about or have completely forgotten. So he describes mild, medium, or intense. And for myself, it was the intense method of being in the ashram on a 6-month-long, non-stop training, 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. That's intense, but it gets you where you want to go. You have experiences and all these levels of perfecting your health and then getting to higher states of blissful consciousness, and then you're happy you have achieved what you wanted. And you bring that achievement with you. You can come back into the world. And until it's time to finally depart, you're happy being in the world and doing what you need to do here. So next he goes into this Ishvara Pranidhana, which is the paying attention really to your inner guru, to your intuition, which means the inner teachings. This is where yoga brings you as you are paying attention. Again, the swadhyaya, the self-observation, is where we go into feeling everything, looking at what our mind is thinking, noticing the emotional states that are a result of what we are doing in our yoga practice. And this is bringing us deeper and deeper into self-knowledge. And at the core of that, when you go deep enough, you have a connection to a divine knowledge, the inner guru, which is referred to as Ishvara, and Ishwari, the masculine and feminine elements of a divine connection. And you feel that as you are connected to the universe is supporting you, moving you forward, and taking you into these states, and then back into the world, still having this state of blissful happiness that you carry with you. And it becomes stronger, and people around you begin feeling happiness when you're around them. So you can feel this happening. And the more attention you pay to this inner guru, this inner teachings, the knowledge of the universe is coming through you. It is literally your guru, but it's on the inside, and you can then assess outer gurus and know whether they're real or not, and you can go through old scriptural texts and you understand and know it's validating your experiences and supporting what you're doing and confirming what you're doing, what's happening in your life. So as Patanjali is mentioning this Ishvara as it's the deity in the fourth chakra. We have Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and then Ishvara and Ishvari are in the fourth. It is the voice and the sound and the knowledge of the universe coming directly into us, the inner guru. And then he's pointing out in the 24th sutra, he's saying that this is our individual divine consciousness that is all knowledgeable and is connected to Purusha. It's part of the greater mind of the universe. So of course it's going to be our intuitive knowledge of what we need to know guiding us through life. And if we're paying attention to this and applying our yoga practice, paying attention to this divine guidance, it can be a fast way of progressing. The practices bring us to this point. We tap into this inner guru, and then we follow the directions and the instructions and the intuitive feelings that come with this. This, of course, requires that the mind is not interfering, because your mind will be thinking about this and assessing and judging, questioning, is this real or not? So you need to have enough experience with connecting to the divine within you, which again is scientifically linking into the knowledge, the information of this whole electromagnetic ocean. It is an intelligent ocean, which you can look at as it's a divine force. It's God in essence. But if you take all the religious connotations out of it, you're dealing with a knowledge bank that is infinite, completely knowing everything. So it is in this realm that we get into higher consciousness with this divine guidance, and then we realize the consciousness contains the buddhi, the knowledge of the universe, and everything that comes out into manifestations has the seeds back in this place. So we're going into this inner knowledge bank of the inner guru, connected to Purusha, and the distinction, as you merge in with this, you lose the distinction between I am an individual over here and I am part of the whole thing. And this is the connection of Ishvara, Purusha, and he's pointing out when you see this and feel this and experience this, you're in a place of also of being in the manifestation, of being part of the manifester. So this leads to many of the what are called the siddhis and the accomplishments in yoga, the semi-magical powers, not really magical, it's all very energetic, scientific, but you start to see that the seeds of everything are coming here from the inside through the sound, which is then one of the next things he gets to, of the sound and the Om. All of the seeds of manifestation are contained in this Purusha, and you access it through the state of consciousness. In Sutra 26, he's talking about this knowledge bank. The Purusha is not in this world, it's not conditioned by time, it's part of the eternal universe, which we completely lose track of. But through the internal meditations in Anahata, you can step in far enough beyond time. It's like you come to the center of the clock, where the hours and the time is on the outside, but you're in the center. You come to a timeless place. So he's saying that this level of Ishvara, Purusha, and your individual guru are not conditioned by time. All the knowledge, past, present, and future, are here. So we're diving into the Akashic records, what in science some people are referring to as the Akashic field. I see it, I feel it as an ocean, that closing your eyes, you can go back into this ocean and be bubbling around in it in a blissful state, and all the information is there in the waves, just like our technology. In Sutra 27, Patanjali is saying that the sound of Aum is bringing us to this inner knowledge, inner guru, to the Ishvara. Again, Ishvara is the personal link to Purusha, to the knowledge of the universe, to divine guidance, and the way to get to it is Aum. So the Aum is the sound of all of these waves put together. Okay, it's the cosmic symphony. And the cosmic symphony contains the information. Just like our microwave technology and our Google contains all the information, it's here. And we access it, we tune in to this information by the chanting of Aum. And again, it's the expanded form of the A-U-M, not just Om. That's the nickname, let's say, if we can put it that way. So when you understand this, we get into Sutra 28, where he's talking about repetition of this with a contemplation, what's sometimes interpreted as the meaning of it. Meaning becomes more intellectual, but the feeling of it is bringing us into the reality of actually everything is vibration. And if you're doing this japa, Om japa, repeating it, Aum, 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 for a period of time, which depends on your karma, how much you've practiced in the past. My experience of doing it for 4 hours non-stop took me to my first beyond the world experience into the Akashic records, Akashic fields, the universe, back in 1971, a long time ago. So that was an introduction to the reality of, wow, everything is very different from what it seems like down here on earth. And this repetition of it with an understanding feeling that the more you vibrate, the more you feel the vibration, the more you feel and realize everything is vibration. The vibration contains the information. And then go back to quantum physics, where they are saying that this whole quantum field that materializes into atoms and molecules, it's made of information. I mean, contemplate this as you need, but the chanting, the repetition of the Aum, Aum, will bring you to the realization, bring you in touch with this inner guru, connected to the entire universe, to the whole Akashic records, as they're called, a library of everything that is, was, and will be. It's all there. It's all here and now. And you can come to this place and realize this. It's not an intellectual theory. When you have the experience, it kind of blows you away. We come then to Sutra number 29, where Patanjali states that by doing this practice of the Om Japa, the obstacles in your life begin dissolving and disappearing. Things that are stopping you from progressing, the things that look like big problems and whatnot, all begin to simply fade. And then you're left with the freedom to keep progressing, to keep going in this inner direction. No longer pulled into outer distractions, things you need to do, cleaning up your karma. Karma includes some of your obstacles and blockages that prevent you from moving. And by doing the Om Japa, coming back into this feeling of Om, 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 everything changes in the outer world around you as you feel the inner change from the inside. You're feeling the essential vibration of the universe. And this puts you in touch with the whole quantum field, the electromagnetic ocean. So, main practice combined with the complete Mahat Yoga Pranayama. The 3-part breathing and the 3 parts of the Om, they go together and unite into an amazing experience if you practice. If you practice, you will have the experiences that verify this really works. If you're just listening to me and thinking, oh yeah, it's a great idea, but don't know if I'll get around to practicing it very much. Or we try it for a few minutes and okay, well I didn't get into cosmic consciousness. So again, go back to mild, medium, or intense. How much effort can you put into it? And if you want to have the results, take a little time off from your normal living and practice this in an undistracted environment, and you'll find, whoa, I got to this place beyond time where I realized I am eternal consciousness and I understand everything